everybody, let's get hyped for another run. We've got Wanted Weapons of Fate by Crowded Rage. Welcome, Crowded Rage.
Hi, how you doing?
Doing good, thank you so much. Wish you the best of luck.
Appreciate it. I'm gonna need it, honestly. So yeah, I'm Clouded Rage. This is Wanted Weapons of Fate. We are running the any percent category. This game is about as janky as you can get a game to be. There's a whole lot of problems with it. Mouse deceleration, specifically on the PC port. So this run is basically just a lot of execution while trying to overcome all of the problems that are in place. So yeah, we're gonna start a new game, standard. We're gonna run in the special suit because we're special like that, and we're gonna play it on pussy difficulty. And the run will start in 3, 2, 1, go.
So, Cloud, you know what I just realized? You don't have these special characters unlocked.
I have some of them unlocked, but not all of them. See, that would actually require you to play the game multiple times and meet special requirements, and I don't want to meet those special requirements. I just want to speedrun it. And I can't do much more than that because it's hard to bear casually.
Yes, this game is very unpleasant.
Yes.
So, if you guys don't know what Wanted Weapons of Fate is, it is a licensed game from the movie Wanted. It is a pre-sequel and a sequel to the movie itself, because they actually had the original development team give them information on how they wanted the story to take place before and after. So the game itself actually has a lot of story to it, but it's a horrible game still,
Yeah.
nonetheless.
Yep. So one of the minor pieces of tech. So it's you actually run faster when your weapon's at your hip. If you're shooting, he tends to slow down, which we can get body blocked like we just did there. So I try to avoid shooting as much as possible in this run, just for speed purposes. But you have to be really careful because 95% of the time the enemies are stormtroopers and they miss every shot. But they can decide to be crack shots sometime and completely crush your soul. So while this game is, you know, we do play it on easy, there are a lot of enemies that can basically one-shot you and put you near death, which is a ton of fun whenever you're trying to run a janky game.
Yeah, especially later in levels, like when you get to the plane mission. Well, basically after the plane mission, there are people with shotguns,
Yep.
and they can, like, literally on full health instantly kill you if you're close enough.
Yep. Yeah, the shotguns in this game, they say you play it on easy, but the shotguns actually make every difficulty hard mode. That's just the way that it goes. So the way we actually got into running this is a friend of mine, who was going to be part of this but had to get called into work, was playing this casually on his stream, and I rolled in and challenged him like an idiot, so I've brought this all on myself. But we've been running it for a couple months now and just trying to figure out routes and things for it. And Kuno here was actually the one that made the auto splitter for it, and that's how we ended up getting linked up because we needed help and Kuno came to our rescue, so...
You wouldn't need my help if they so worked the first time.
True, but I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. So, these sections are all on rails. You basically just have to run through, hit your targets in a specified amount of time. There is one of these that comes up later that for some reason some runners have an issue where it doesn't matter what you do, you can just die on them. And some other runners can kill instantly, so we'll explain that whenever we get there. But the first level, yeah, you just gotta chase down the dude in SWAT gear, as Wesley likes to refer to him, and end him at the end, so we're almost at the end of...
Never mind. Can't say it. Sorry, we gotta keep family friendly, I realize.
Yeah, so this game has some non-friendly, family-friendly words in it, but that's one of the reasons I love it so much. So we have to take cover here, suppress the SWAT leader, switch between cover, get a couple shots in, suppress again, and then when we switch cover here, we should be able to finish him off. So that's the end of level 1.
And we can't even tell you like the level names because those are also bad.
yeah, you'll see them on the screen. That's just part of running this. So
another itself is bad.
So another piece of tech is actually if you have dual wielded weapons, you run faster. So on levels when you cross, you have an advantage, and later on you obtain fire eaters, which are dual wielded auto pistols, and you try to keep those equipped as long as possible to get the speed boost in your run. So I'm gonna try and pacifist as much as I can through here. But there's a lot of like on rails sections of this game, like specifically like a lot of sniper sections, a lot of turret sections. So on those ones, those are pretty. You basically there is a pattern, but sometimes you just get unlucky with them. But memorizing those has been a big part of the run, and we're still working on routing just because there wasn't a lot of runs prior to us being involved in this. So a lot of this has been trial and error in general. Try to skirt through, and that's the other thing to mention is there's a lot of mouse deceleration in this game. So typically with mouse acceleration, a lot of people turn it off to have true to form raw input on their mice. In this game, there's no way to turn it off, but the faster you move your mouse, the slower your aim actually goes, because there's a bug with the PC port where it just completely botches the speed of your movement. So you'll see a lot of times where it looks like I'm turning really slow, and it's nothing that I'm doing on purpose, it's the game telling me basically no. So yeah, it's fun.
For whatever reason, the game feels like it has a mouse deacceleration, where sometimes your mouse will just be like, yay, I can do a full 360 with my mouse pad, and then other times it's like you can't even turn like a 180 with like 4 mouse swipes.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's one of the most painful parts of running this game. So you do get the powers, and like you get the ability to curve bullets. There's only certain parts where you use it. Like this section right here, it's nice to curve bullets. I might die. Because they get into cover, and when they're in cover, it's kind of hard to headshot them. So there's times where we'll just throw the curve out there to be able to progress a little bit quicker. But you want to try and stay out of bullet time as much as possible for speed purposes. It's not bullet time, but I refer to it as bullet time because I run a lot of games with slow motion breaches and slow motion actions. It makes me feel cool.
So, the category that we were originally going to run, but a lot of stuff happened, was close combat. And a huge thing about that category is you have to melee basically every single person in an area. There's like only very few areas where it's like there's more people than the amount that you have to melee.
Yep. Yeah.
And meleeing, it's a slow-mo.
Yeah, so it's all the actions take forever, and the big thing about close combat percent is that in a good game that would be tough, in a bad game it's extra tough because your counters can bug. So if you get to the end of the section, you haven't met all your requirements for melee, you have to restart that section. Well, if your counter bugs, you basically have no choice but to restart that section. So like at the very end of the game in that run, you have to climb a bell tower to kill the immortal. And if you die after a certain point in that tower, you actually have to run all the way back down to get an enemy that it discounts your kill counter for, which is a brilliant, brilliant move. So if we have anything to read right now, would be a good time to read.
We are still trying to meet our goal right now. We are at $447.06 with a goal of 500. Just a reminder to everybody that this is a charity marathon. All donations go to the Heartland Animal Shelter, and you can use that ! donate command to get the link. So please get those donations in so we can get up to 500.
Perfect. So this sniping section is actually the reason that I won't run the headshot category. There is, as well as close combat, there is a headshot only mode, and this section alone made me freak out and never want to run it, because even if you do aim at their heads, the chances of you hitting their heads are pretty slim to none. So we're actually going to watch here. Sometimes whenever she's on her way up, she can decide to fall or not actually go to her desired location, which there's like a couple seconds of time save or a couple seconds of time lost depending on what she does, but the game's so buggy there's no way to force a specific outcome. Alright, so this level here, we have to fight our way through. We got some bullet time, and we have to fight the Russian at the end, which there is a possibility of one cycling the Russian, which we're going to try and do. That barrel is not good. We might die. Barrel's not good. We might die. Okay, we're through. That was very dangerous. We safetied it a little bit. But, yeah, this game, that can happen. There's no rhyme or reason a lot of times for the enemy's aim. Sometimes they like to shoot barrels, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they like to shoot you in the head, sometimes they don't. So you're basically just, almost an entire run of RNG on whether the bullets are actually going to hit you or not, and you basically just hope for the entire run that they don't. Let's get our SWAT buddies down. Alright. So we want to... oh. That's another thing about this game is that cover is super sticky. So you get stuck on cover a lot, which is just painful. It's just the fact of a bad cover system, but you just have to kind of deal with that.
Another bad thing about the game is, like, the slow-mos, they actually had it to where you can disable them in, like, the original, beta version of the game. Yeah, they're like, now they're gonna make them mandatory.
Yep.
And so
you just have to sit through
in
them.
the engine, they wrote within the engine that if you don't get it, to just crash the game.
See, that's the brilliance in this. So we're gonna try in one cycle this fella here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna come off cover, try not to get too close to this box, and just headshot him and hope we get. And hope we didn't get it. So we're gonna die and just redo it. So one of the biggest pains in this game is if you're too close to any object, it just jams the gun. Like, and we think the reason for that is because if you're too close to something, bullets seem to tend to fly into the ground. So they decided instead of fixing that, we're just actually gonna jam the gun so you can't shoot at all. So that was the one cycle. We get him before he retreats back. We had to die. If you miss it, you just die, because it's quicker to die and redo it than it is to follow him all the way down to the end with the chance of dying. So this is probably the least fun level. It's fear of flying. You basically just have to get through this plane and survive, but surviving a lot of the times is the problem. Because, once again, there's stormtroopers sometimes, but crack shots other times. And this is when you start seeing the shotgun. The shotgun is by far the scariest aspect of this run, because there's a lot of enemies that have it, and it does just mega damage. There's just no way to avoid it. We're gonna shoot these to get rid of the enemies. Eject them. Like, if we shoot the fire extinguishers, they actually open up the plane doors and eject the enemies, which is ideal. And if you take cover directly on these pushing carts, it'll actually get like a mega speed boost where he pushes it 3 miles instead of 2 inches. We're gonna hopefully get through here without a death. Another fun aspect of this game is that, especially in close combat percent, whenever you melee, it has a chance of bugging the camera, so your aim like gets stuck behind Wesley or across his head, so you can't actually see what you're shooting a lot of the time. You just have to kind of hope for the best. Alright, we made it through with no deaths. That's Pog, man, that's Pog. Another fun scripted event. Which is honestly the first. This plane must have been like a million miles in the air, because it falls for a considerable amount of time and it never hits the ground. So, big plus for us. There is a possibility, though, some of the runners have experienced where drink carts will actually lodge in the way of your bullets, but not in front of the enemy's bullets, causing you to be killed no matter what you do. Just adds to the fun of the whole thing.
A big thing about the game that there's actually hidden character models that you were originally supposed to be able to play as on the co-op mode that they decided to delete as well. Because there's actually some remnants of a co-op mode. And you used to be able to play as Morgan Freeman, and
yeah, that would have been awesome, man. Playing as the voice would have been the greatest thing of all time.
Yeah, honestly, they got rid of him, but you can actually, within encoding of the Diesel scriptation, you can actually make it so where he's playable again. But
yeah,
it takes like a lot of effort.
Yeah, we need that. We need that. So there's a lot of memes. Like, one of the biggest things about running this game, and we run with one of the either character, like we like to run with Wesley because you get his fun little quips as part of the runs, which we all think he's funny. I don't know why, but If you run as one of the optional characters, you lose all of that, you know, wonderful humor that makes the game so great. But we do like to, I was gonna meme, there is an enemy called Nightmare, who is a melee only enemy. You can actually run as him, and we like to do like headshot with him, just because it's ironic that he can only melee, but you want to hit headshots only in that run.
You mind if I interrupt for a moment?
Absolutely, go ahead.
We have a $5 donation from Marmbo. Horror games, do it for the animals. Thank you so much.
Marmbo going in. Thank you so much for the donation, buddy. Marmbo's a longtime friend of the channel. He's been around since basically the start of everything that we've been doing, so huge shout out to him. Much appreciated for the donation. Alright, so we're going to run down to this table, hopefully not get too close. Curve rumble here. And try to one-cycle him, but we're not going to get it because our gun jammed, because we're too close to the table now, apparently. Finish him off. That is one of the most, like, janky mechanics of this game. Like, there's no rhyme or reason for when you're too close. The game just decides that you're too close. You could be, like, 10 feet back, and it's like, no, we can't actually shoot. And hearing the click when you're in a run is one of the worst feelings. So you basically just have to become one with the jank if you're going to run this, which I do recommend running it. It is a good time. I think more people love this game now that we've started running it again than they did when it was actually released, just because now everybody appreciates the jank. But if you spent $60 on this back in the day, you would have been pretty disappointed. Alright, so we have our friend Nightmare here. Gonna take him out. We have one more at the end we have to take out. And then out of the level. Alright, so this is a fun, this is where the shotgun really becomes a problem and you can kind of get caught by it super heavily, because you get this major onrush of enemies, and then once you're done with all of them, you actually have people raining down fire from on top of you, so you have to kind of be careful, because your timing is pretty important on when you get to the enemies, and not running out of ammo is also very important. Oh god, yep, we died. So, yep, that's wanted for you. This is one of the scarier parts of the run, just because they can be so brutal to you. And since you can't turn quickly to adjust your aim, there's just the possibility you're going to get clipped. Alright, so we're going to try and choke point them a little bit better this time. Got our buddy that drops down on our left. Gonna back up to try and get this ammo this time. Alright, now we have our friends from above. We're gonna curve. Oh, nope. Apparently we're not gonna curve them. Alright, and we're safe. Alright, so now we head into the Loom of Fate. We're actually, so, like, in standard playthrough, you have to follow him all the way through the Loom, but we can actually cut him off to save a little bit of time. And then this is another scary part, because there's just an onslaught of enemies with a sniper, and the sniper is kind of like the shotgun in the fact that it will tear your soul apart, and there's not much you can do about it. So we're actually coming up on my least favorite part of the run, which is the on-rails shooting portion of the library. For whatever reason, on the 3rd and 5th guy, my version of the game will be iffy on whether I kill them or not, and also be iffy on whether they kill me or not. So what we have to do is we have to basically just hold the trigger on this guy and hope that he doesn't kill us. Some of the other runners don't have that issue for whatever reason. I do, and that just, you know, signals to the game's jank even more. So we got him that time. This guy can also be a problem, so we're gonna try and scan his body and find a point where we can kill him, and we're not gonna get it, so hopefully he just, there he goes, he murdered us. So I'm the only runner that seems to have that issue. I don't know of another runner that does. There's not a lot of runners, so there's only about 2 other ones, but I'm the only one that I know of that specifically has problems with 3 and 5.
I think, and don't quote me on it, I actually think it's based on where you have your game downloaded.
Oh, that'd be interesting. Yeah, I've tried uninstalling it and reinstalling it, and I just can't. It's like, it almost acts like he's just out of range of your bullets, but they're not.
Oh,
like,
that guy?
Yeah, so like in cheat percent, where you basically get all of the better weapons from the start of the game, on this portion you actually don't get to, you don't have to use the fire eaters, you get to use a single, like a powerful pistol, basically a deagle. And if we get to use that, that guy dies instantaneously for me. But if I have to use the automatic pistols, there's no hope. Like, I basically just have to keep my fingers crossed.
To be fair, this is a PS3 game that got ported to the PC.
Yeah. Yeah, and they didn't
use X and B. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, they use X and B file types, which is a PS3 file type, and they use it on the PC version.
Why would you port this game with care? I mean, let's be real. You're gonna do whatever. You're gonna do whatever you're gonna do to get this thing pushed out. So.
I mean, it's 8 months.
Yeah. That's. I apparently have an affinity for running games that didn't have the proper development cycles entailed in them. Like, there's like some good games that I run, but I have too much fun running jank to, you know, ever stop. So these turret sections are a little brutal just because of the mouse deceleration. You have to, like, I find that, like, clicking through sometimes makes it a little bit quicker, but you basically, your fate is in the hands of Wanted.
You might have wanted it to be better, but no.
Yeah. Wanted a good game.
Imagine someone leaves a 1-star review and said, I wanted a better game.
Yeah. I mean, it's after, you know, a film masterpiece, so you would hope the game would be a masterpiece as well. I feel like everybody's guilty pleasure is the Wanted movie. I feel like that's a common thing.
Oh, and honestly, the movie really holds up still.
Oh, shit. My alarm's going off. I'll be right back. This is a problem.
This is a good time for a reminder that this is a charity marathon. We are currently trying to get money for the Heartland Animal Shelter. If you would have some extra coins to donate, please use the !donate command to get the link. Thanks so much.
So yeah, apologies for that. My security system was alarming. One moment.
So World Clouded has his entire house get raided by the FBI for running this shit game. We are going to be mentioning what he's doing. So right here, he has to run upstairs to kill the guy that's holding the transit still. And he has to run back to the transit thing to be able to go back. And they decide to randomly just drop a helicopter behind you where there's people there and whatnot. So once he gets back in, he's gonna hit like a 3-minute cutscene, and you can just skip it like all the other cutscenes in the game. If you actually had to sit through all the cutscenes, it would be like well over like 30 minutes in cutscene.
Yeah, luckily for us, Kuno, for some reason, created an auto splitter for this game. Like, we went to run it, and we're like, I can't even believe that there's an auto splitter. And we had some issues, so we we contacted Kuno, and he was like, out of the blue, like, why is somebody contacting me about this auto splitter right now? And it's because we need those loads removed because the run would be exponentially longer if it wasn't for that.
Yeah, like, a lot of PC games are riddled with, it's faster if you run it twice, but that's not really good for a leaderboard. So, the original mod was Cosmic. He, of course, is not here, but when I contacted him, he's like, someone's talking about Wanted to me. You know, I felt the same like astoundment whenever Vox was like, hey, the ASO for Wanted's messed up. I'm like, pardon me? You're talking about what game?
Wait a second. From the Tales from the Crypt, man, that's Wanted. That's Like, I don't know, we just, I mean, it is a fun game to run, and you kind of fall in love with it as you go through it, even for its jank. Like, it's more, like, there's a lot of meme potential with the run, but genuinely, if you didn't have a lot of, like, the bugs, the deceleration and stuff like that, like, you could genuinely have a good time with Wanted. You just have to take it for what it is. Alright.
Until you get the last 2 levels, and then...
Yeah, nobody likes the last 2 levels. The last 2 levels are brutal. But, especially whenever you're running close combat. I mean, the big thing with close combat is if you had to do the entire run specifically, like, we have rules in place where once you hit your required target for enemies, you're allowed to use your weapon again, because if you had to full-on run with only close combat, you probably wouldn't make it out alive. Like, it is just a brutal game, even on the easiest difficulty. So we're actually gonna go slow-mo here, hold our mouse, and we're gonna take out Aranya. So that's nice. That's a nice little quick one cycle. I have had it bugged before where I've killed her too quick, and the game just, like, still, it, like, doesn't actually kill her. You have to wait for her to drop down again. But luckily, that only happens once or twice every once in a while. Alright, so we get through the catacombs here. We're gonna do a lot of avoiding enemies in the catacombs.
A very fun thing. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm gonna die anyway. Oh, I died.
Oh, well, that's good. Well, a very fun thing about the game is at the very start, they put so much effort into making the levels actually, like, playable, but I'm pretty sure they're like, okay, we need to add, like, an extra, like, hour and a half to this game somehow. So the last, like, 2 or 3 levels are literally, like, 20 minutes each, nearly. I wouldn't say 20, but they're about, like, 10 minutes each. So you go through, like, 5 levels within the same amount of time it takes you to beat the first level, the last level.
Dude, so this is an example of the shotgun being the scariest thing in the world in this game. That's 2 times in a row that he's come around that corner and his shotgun is just being lethally accurate, and he's taking all of my health. So it's one of those things where if you can avoid the shots, it's best to avoid the shots, because once they have it honed in on you, you're pretty much cooked. But you'll notice, like, a lot of the bullets are sporadic. Even Wesley's bullets. Oh my god. Run! Oh, no. That was dangerously close. So, like, you'll notice, like, Wesley's bullets are all over the place. They're really scattered. It's hard, like, it's hard to have a lot of accuracy when basically your spray pattern on your weapon is so random.
Oh, you know what I learned beautifully about this game too, Clouded, that I was gonna tell you.
What's that?
They ripped the movement tech out of this game and made Terminator Salvation with it.
Oh yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you want to emulate this game in every single way possible? I mean, that obviously was such a winner. Like, why wouldn't you want that in all of your other games? I mean, licensed games in general, like, a lot of them are jank. I mean, you don't go into a licensed game expecting to have, like, a AAA experience most of the time. But, you have to go, like I said, it's all about just accepting games for what they are and enjoying them for what they are, because if you don't do that, you're gonna have a real bad time. Alright, so Catacombs, like, this section here, if you have to go through the middle and actually have to fight the enemies, there's such an onslaught of them, and there's so many mines, the chances are you're gonna die. So we hug the right side here, bounce back out, and go back in to avoid fighting all these enemies, and basically for the rest of the way you're just hoping you don't get tanked. So next section's kind of the same way. Hang to the left, and then in close combat, the routing for this actually, this one dude right here in particular, you really don't like him, so he's the only person in this last section that you actually melee, which I think is a fun time. But yeah, now we're just kind of hoping that they don't actually have their aim intact, and we get to the end of the level. Now we've earned the Fire Eaters. This is the point where you start running with them in your hands as much as possible. Dust to Dust is where the game starts to get really difficult, just because of the amount of enemies you have to encounter. Hope you don't get body blocked and burnt. Sorry, go ahead, Kuno.
Oh, a big problem with this level too is there's mines basically around most of the underground, like, water sections. and sometimes you'll be shooting them and they won't explode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I
as
just
you
showed.
Yeah, as you just showed. But a big thing that you can do to make it a little bit faster is you can curve your bullets to blow them up. But if you're walking with the I can't remember what you just called them.
Fire eaters.
Fire eaters, yeah, there you go. With the fire eaters, a special thing about the fire eaters is if you use your curving bullets thing, it shoots off like explosive rounds, which takes about 6 actual bullets from your gun to do. So you're kind of like throwing away ammo, but
Yep.
it also saves like a little bit of time.
Yeah, the only problem with curving bullets in this game is that whenever you curve bullets for the mines, you're basically hoping that you target the mine. There's a possibility you can just target the sky, like it's very hard. So unless the mine is like specifically the only thing in your viewpoint, it's a little bit dangerous. But it does save you the chance of not hitting. That's a big plus.
Yeah. And another big thing about enemies now is they're learning to dodge your bullets. So, the knife guy that he just had killed, like, he was trying to dodge his bullets and he did and was still able to melee him.
Yep.
So, you make the game not good by making, basically, at the very end of it, every enemy dodges your bullets, nearly.
Yep. Yep, they're really smart. And, like, you'll see, like, when I curve bullets, like Kuna was talking about, when you curve bullets, you get that explosion. A lot of the enemies will just survive the explosion for whatever reason. Like, we're going to come up on a part where there's 3 enemies grouped together, and I'm going to try and curve them. Every once in a while it works. 95% of the time it doesn't. But, yeah, we'll see. So these sniper sections, you basically just have to roam between cover and hope you don't get clipped, because that sniper is basically a long-range shotgun for the enemies, and it can be absolutely brutal. So coming up on this section right here, we have 2 enemies and a runner. So sometimes they get bunched up at the door. Sometimes that happens where you target the wrong guy.
The dude to the left, he got ragdolled.
Oh yeah, dude. He got ragdolled and he wasn't even the one I was aiming at. See, sometimes it doesn't even matter. Like, you can curve to the right person and sometimes they're just impervious. Like, this game, there really is a lot of no rhyme reason why things happen here.
And another beautiful thing about the game is if, like, an enemy is running and you cover a bullet, they can actually outrun the bullet hitting them.
Mm-hmm. And it,
Like,
Nightmare...
their hitbox...
Oh, God.
I was gonna say, their hitbox gets delayed so much while they actually move that your bullet is targeted. Like, when you curve it, it's supposed to hit them, but the curve box is so delayed that it just doesn't.
Oh my God. So I had 2. That's the first time in that section I've never seen that happen. I outran both of the melee enemies, the nightmares. So whenever you outrun them, they just they chase you endlessly. So I had basically 2 of them chasing me, and also this guy just refused to die. That is a lot of this game. Like, the range is very picky, and as inaccurate as your normal pistol is, the fire eaters are even worse. So, you basically, it really is just, you have to get in the general vicinity, and the game will decide for you whether or not you're actually going to kill an enemy or not. So this is actually my favorite part of the entire run. We're going to get a little song from our boy Wesley here, which my chat and anybody who runs this chat seems to adore. So we'll try and showcase that here. So if you're lucky enough and you can actually catch them, you can actually shoot the first enemy all the way in the back. 1, 2, 3 dead froggies. 4 little 5 little 6 deader froggies. That's the best part of the entire run, man. That's why we run Wanted at this point, is just to hear that song. So get through this. If we have anything to read, we can read now.
All right, just a reminder to everybody, we are raising money for the Heartland Animal Shelter, so please use that exclamation point and donate command if you've got a few pennies to spare. They are a no-kill nonprofit organization that helps homeless animals find homes. So, great organization to help out. So, if you got some coins, please throw them in. We're currently at $452 of our $500 goal, so let's get to $500.
Yeah, let's do that, man. Animals are the best. No-kill shelters are the best. They're always a great cause when it goes to the animals. Alright, so we got lucky there. We're actually going to showcase one of our friend Vox's techniques here. So we're going to curve to get this guy out of cover, And then we're gonna shoot the mine to kill all 3. Or not kill him, apparently. See, this is where they start just being impervious to explosions, which is a great tech for a speedrun. So the end of this level was actually one of the most dangerous parts. We're going to sprint through to try and not trigger this nightmare that runs down. We're going to get up to the top. We're going to take out the first 2 enemies with a bullet time dive. And then we're going to attack the next group of enemies with a sprint between cover. Sometimes that back guy cannot die and it causes problems. So now we're going to try and curve Shoddy Boy here. He might survive it, which he did. Because it's wanted. We're going to play it a little safe here. We're going to take out this fella here and sprint to the end of the level. Alright, now the real fun begins. So How's Your Father is by far and away the hardest level in the game. And it's the longest. Like, it takes forever to actually get through this joint. So... my goodness. My house is setting off every alarm in the world today. The problem with smart homing your house. Everything just goes off at the same time. Alright.
See, you don't have to smart own it if you just had a fire shot him and it fires. If someone comes to your front door, you just curve a bullet around and no more
Exactly,
visitors.
yeah. That's what I need to learn. I need to become a super assassin in real life. That's the way it needs to go. Which he calls himself a super assassin, but is he really that super? Because he can't even get past this fella here.
This place stinks.
We're a little low on fire.
He takes a shotgun to the chest and still lives. So
That's
what would you do
true.
then?
It's true. Yeah, I'd probably be down. I'd probably be down for the count in that case. Alright, so a lot of this is just execution, trying not to die, meleeing the right enemies. Because the shotgunners at this point are really adept at dodging your bullets. This is where it starts to become a problem with these high-powered enemies that are basically invincible. We're gonna go a little slow-mo here, kill everybody in the room, and then sprint past the dude with the Magnum. Magnum guy is a heavy hitter too, so this is the point where you start running into Magnums and you start running into shotguns and sniper rifles. So you basically have the trifecta of death at every moment. So we're gonna jump over this cover to try and take out these 2 Magnum boys so that they don't kill us as we move on. We're gonna melee him just to get him out of our way because he's scary.
Another big oversight by like the entire Wanted world is if anyone has like a type 3 body armor, like a 3A body armor, pistols won't do shit all.
Yeah.
Because
See that?
you're shooting 45 ACP.
Oh. Yeah, we died. So, that was one of the bugs that I was talking about earlier, where if you get into a melee, it has the possibility of shifting your camera, so the camera is actually not centered the way it's supposed to be. It actually goes over the wrong shoulder. But we actually hit the checkpoint, so that wasn't too brutal. But this is where, like I said, the sniper rifles become a problem, because you have them up top, but he's out of range of most bullets. So there's a possibility that, like, even if I slow-mo and try to shoot him, I could shoot an entire mag into him and he just won't die. We're gonna bullet time our way through here to try and not get janked. The other unfortunate thing is once you start bullet time, the game basically determines how long you're in it. There's no way to escape it, so that's why we try to avoid it as much as possible. Alright, so we're probably going to run to the left here, because Shotgunner already has us in his sights, and he's probably going to smack us real hard. So we're going to try to avoid as many of the bullets as possible, and sprint towards the end. Alright, so now we're on to the church, where things get real hectic real quick.
All in honesty, you could probably save a huge amount of time if you could load last checkpoint.
Yeah.
Because you could run to the next checkpoint, then just load last, and then despawn everyone that was behind you.
Yeah, I started examining some of that stuff. Like I said, this run's really still super in its infancy because we've only been running it for like 2 months, so there's still a lot of ways that you can save time that we're trying to learn and figure out. And there's certain parts where you can just get lucky and save time. Like there's sections where like I've run through before and made it, but then never been able to run through again. So it's really just a matter of hoping you don't get smacked like I'm getting smacked right now. So that is, if you're gonna run this game, you have to like be patient with it because there's sometimes just no rhyme or reason for you getting destroyed, which is unfortunate. A lot of speedrunners like to run games that are, you know, not so volatile. But I have a ton of self-loathing, apparently, and I like to subject myself to this abomination.
To be honest, I would just really blame like the loose coding structure they have for it, because I looked a little bit into it, and a lot of the stuff in it is just basically like the AI has like 12 different things it can do. So, like good RNG for every single enemy to have good like. I'll just leave him alone, kind of deal. It's very hard to get.
Yeah, I've honestly never been so slapped down on this section before. It's a little brutal.
Which enemies also have a cone of vision, which also, like, the way Clouded was explaining is your camera can be shifted around. Their cone of vision can be shifted around based on how you damage them. And that doesn't seem so bad, but if you're, like, shooting at someone and their cone of vision is like massively different, it can actually mess up where their hitboxes as well and shift them like 1 or 2 inches to the left or right.
We just made the checkpoint. That's all I wanted to do at this point. That's all I needed. I just needed that checkpoint. So yeah, you'll notice that a lot of times too, like with the fire eaters are the toughest weapon. Like they're the best to run with, but the toughest weapon to actually utilize in the run just because of their spreads when firing. Because if they're anywhere outside of like a decent range, your chances of hitting them are slim to none, and you just kind of have to deal with that. The game itself keeps shifting my camera over to the wrong shoulder, so that's fun. That makes aiming nearly impossible. So we're just gonna try and run through and hope for the best that we don't get clapped. Which another problem is we have a sniper section coming up, so if you don't shoot all of these enemies leading up to it, they don't despawn when you get to this like the sniper section. So they'll actually be like at your feet, just destroying you. So I'm actually kind of glad we died there because it's going to despawn those snipers that were sitting back on the previous section. Run is causing some issues today. And that's some of the times, like there's been days where you run this where you're just never gonna have success, you're never gonna have luck. And the problem with that is like you don't realize that's gonna happen until you get down to the end of the run. So you're all the way in, and now all of a sudden they're dodging every bullet. They're super accurate. They're, like the world's greatest soldier. And then other times you run it and they don't even know which way's up. So. So if we have anything we'd like to mention, do that now.
We are currently working towards our goal of $500. We are at $452 right now. If you would like to donate, you can use the ! donate link. All money donated goes to the Heartland Animal Shelter. Great organization. So if you would like to donate, if you got a few extra pennies laying around, please give them a few dollars. It's a great place. So.
Oh man! All right, perfect. So this section, this is the end of the game. We're towards the end game now. This tower, when we originally started running it, we really tried our best to like shoot and like save time. There's no hope for you. as far as shooting and saving time goes. So 95% of the time in this tower, what you're going to do is you're going to want to melee enemies, and you're going to run with the fire eaters. Because there's a lot of enemies that rappel down in the center, and if you're not running with the fire eaters, they can cause major damage to you, and basically kill your entire tower climb. The other thing is that we learned while we were doing all these melees up this tower is that there's actually like a fast animation when it comes to meleeing, which is the flying knee that he does. We are trying to find out a way to actually make that happen consistently for the close combat runs. But we haven't figured it out yet. We've thought that it might be like pulling enemies out of cover. We've tried like attacking them from the side. We tried a myriad of things, but this game is so unpredictable that you really don't know what you're gonna get. I'm actually shocked we made it through that section because there was just so much happening. So yeah, that flying knee is by far, in a way, the best outcome you can hope for when meleeing. And honestly, if you don't melee on this tower climb, you have a lot of time where you can get damage, because meleeing actually gives you iframes where you can avoid all of this damage, which is great if you're on the verge of death. Like if your screen's grayscaled and you can string together a bunch of melees, that's the best outcome you can possibly see. Because I think there's a mechanic that I'm kind of learning that unless you're in cover, your recovery takes a while. So like when you're in cover, it sees you at like what I assume is a resting state, and it actually gives you better health regeneration. So as many as you can string, like as many melees as you can string together to gather your iframes, the better, because it actually takes longer for you to regen health whenever you're not in cover and performing an action. So if you can string like 3 or 4 together, that gives you enough iframes to recover your health when you're grayscale, which is huge. Another fun little tidbit about the close combat run that we were going to do, there's a possibility on this tower right here that barrel I just blew up before, that the enemy will shoot it. And the problem with that is if the enemy shoots it, he kills himself, but you have to melee every single ground enemy, or you have to restart the entire tower over again. So if that enemy blows up that barrel and kills himself, you reload the checkpoint, and when you reload the checkpoint, it actually discounts one of the kills you had earlier. So this is the final boss fight. This is the Immortal. Time's gonna end when I kill him and skip the end cutscene, and it goes to the credits. So we're gonna switch between cover and unload as much of our pistol as we can into him. And then we're gonna switch to our fire eaters, wait for him to switch cover again. We're gonna unload on him, get our bullet. He's gonna die. We're gonna get our cutscene. And that's time. So we're actually gonna Alt F4 those credits real quick. So yeah, that's the wanted any percent run. Yeah, if you're interested in running it, I do recommend it. It is a fun run. It's an enjoyable time if you can work with the jank. You're like, thank you for the GG. You just have to realize you're going to be dealing with a lot of jank. You have to have a lot of patience. So, yeah, if you guys are interested in picking it up and you want to message me, I'm sure Vox Geyser would be interested in giving some tips too. If you have any questions or anything like that, check out those runs. There's a few categories that we go back and forth on, and yeah, enjoy.
Thank you so much, Clouded Rage, for that very neat run of Wanted Weapons of Fate. We actually got a $5 anonymous donation that said, "Thank you, Clouded, for the Wanted Weapons of Fate action."
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you guys for the donations. It's been a pleasure. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Where can we find you?
Yeah, so you can find me twitch.tv/cloudedrage. I do speedrun a bunch of games. I try to consider myself like a variety speedrunner, so I have a bunch of different runs going on there. You can find me on Twitter. My tag is xcloudedrage, Instagram @cloudedrage. So yeah, if you're interested in seeing the things I have to say or what I have to do, you're welcome on by anytime. We love meeting new people, and you get to witness all of this jank and more. So yeah, I hope to see you guys soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We are going to go to a short intermission, but we will be right back with a run of We Play Motion. So definitely stick around for that. That should be an interesting one.